I get some. Come on in, come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Happy Sunday. Surprise. Come on in, come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. This is going to be good because y'all know I don't show up on a Sunday, okay? For those who do not know when I show up, hi there. I will be showing up on TikTok on Wednesdays and Fridays for Wisdom Wednesdays and for Feminine Fridays. And I will be showing up on Mondays on my platform Substack, on my Substack. So you can click the link in the bio to subscribe to my Substack, where I will be doing my podcast, The Emotional Wealth Lab, on Monday mornings. Monday morning, it's going to be at 9 a.m. So I'm really, really excited about tomorrow because tomorrow's going to be the first episode. You can click the link in the bio to get access to everything else that I have going on. My YouTube channel. Hi, Lovey. Thank you so much for these gifts and thank you for these likes. So let me tell y'all, I have a goal for today's live, and I want to get this live to 10,000 likes. So I want y'all to help me out with that. That is a way to be able to sell value back into the experience of you receiving value, because I'm going to give out some amazing information on today. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. I'm a psychological identity strategist. If we want to talk about what I do specifically and why I'm here to restore internal order. And I'm here to restore internal order so that power, so that money, so that leadership and relationships organize naturally for high capacity women. Okay? The reason why these things don't organize naturally for women is because we live in a world that teaches us how to perform. So the type of information and content that I provide to those who are assigned to me is content where I teach emotional and energetic sovereignty in a world that's addicted to dependency, that's addicted to performance, and that's addicted to false freedom. Women who come to work with me actually get free. Okay? So I'm going to be talking about today specifically the 5 patterns, okay, that end the fastest if you stop trying to heal them. Okay, so I'm really going to dig deep into this. It's going to be really, really good. So I hope that you have yourself together and yourself here. So share this live with another amazing high capacity woman. And when I say high capacity woman, this is a woman who is probably going to school. She's got her degree. She's done all this stuff, or she started her business. She's the first one in her family to start the business, make a whole lot of money. Like, she's like the one, but she's also the forgotten one. She's also the one that people check on the least. She's also the one that is so hyper competent that she's trained everyone else around her not to actually support her because she knows how to do everything so well, right? But her being and having that high capacity nature is really stressing her out and draining her. So specifically, I'm going to support that woman on today because there are 5 key patterns that tend to pop up with these particular type of women. And so I'm going to support them today by getting down to the root of that, getting to the bottom of it, because my work, we get to the root of things. If you want a surface level fix, if you want a quick fix, this is not going to be the live for you. I'm not the psychological identity strategist for you. We get to the root issue. We get to the bottom of the map, okay? So if you want to solve the problem, you want to resolve the issue, then we're going to do it. The top 3 results that women tend to get when they come to work with me is that, number 1, women tend to make more money. Number 2, women get healthier. Number 3, women develop better relationships with the masculine, as well as healthy community, or they have the ability to build healthy community with the feminine, okay? When you are on your journey and you ascend and you grow, you tend to lose quite a bit of people because, you're entering into a new level, a new dimension. And so a lot of us feel very lost. You feel very confused, and you kind of feel sad a little bit sometimes. It's like, dang, I gotta lose everybody in this experience. Well, no, you actually don't. You're gonna lose people, but what you're going to gain as you come up, if you leave the frequency of fear, when you come to the frequency of love, you're going to have people that meet you there, but you just have to have the courage to come up. Okay. And so if you really want to come up, you're going to have to come from where you are. We're going to have to deal with the truth. So I'm going to talk about these 5 key patterns that you can end really fast. And I mean really, really, really fast, within like 28 days fast. I'm not even kidding around. If you stop trying to heal them. A lot of you have the jargon thinking you have to heal certain scenarios when that is not what you really need to be working on. That's not what needs to be happening, okay? So let's go ahead and get straight into this. Some patterns, they don't take years to heal. Literally, some patterns take minutes to heal. Okay, they take minutes to interrupt. All right, and the women who stay stuck, a lot of times they're not women that are necessarily broken. They're just working on the wrong layer. Okay, most of us will say, I'm a very multifaceted individual, or I'm a multi-layered person. You need to understand the dynamics of your layered nature. I explain to people, I am a flower. Okay, so because I'm a flower, when you are a flower, you think about the petals like, oh, he loves me, not he loves me. You think about those petals, right? It's very layered when you look at a flower. If you get a rose and you actually pick every flower, every petal off of it, you will realize how layered it really is. So it's very important for you as a woman, if you want to thrive. Okay, that's only if you want to thrive. I'm only talking to women who want to thrive. I'm not talking to women who want to sit in survival mode. I'm not talking to women who want to have wrecked nervous systems. I'm not talking to women who want to repeat scenarios with men that disrespect them and devalue them. I'm not talking to women that will compromise their ethics for $1. I'm talking about women who truly want to do the work, because today what we're talking about is not about your trauma. It's not about your trauma at all. It's about your past, okay? Or actually, let me correct that. It's actually not even about your past. It's not about your trauma. It's actually about these 5 loops that I'm going to break down today, because these 5 loops are quietly controlling your money, quietly controlling your body, quietly controlling your relationships and your decisions, even when you're high functioning, even when you're able to still get these things done. This is the driving force behind these things. So if you're looking for tools to feel better, this ain't going to be the live for you. But if you're looking to stop repeating the cycles that you continue to repeat, then go ahead and stay. Okay. Again, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. I'm a psychological identity strategist. And as you see, what I do specifically is that I restore internal order. And I do this so power, so money, so leadership and relationships organize naturally for high capacity women. Because truthfully, those things don't organize naturally, because those women are usually extremely highly competent, highly intelligent, and used to doing everything on their own. But it's drowning them to do everything on their own. Okay, so let's get into these patterns. So let's get into the first aspect of this. Okay, the first thing I have to remind you about patterns is that being aware of a pattern or seeing a pattern doesn't weaken the pattern. Thank you, Lovey, for the follow. Remember, y'all, the goal is 10,000 likes. Okay, so if you're receiving value, and as you're receiving value, be sure to tap the screen. Okay. So I haven't, and I say this, I've said this the last couple of lives. In order for you to understand abundance, you have to understand the principle of giving. If you don't understand the principle of giving, you will never understand the principles of abundance. Okay. And so whatever a man sow, you shall reap. So if you sow value, you're always going to receive value. And that's how I've been able to build a multi 6-figure business, why my clients make more money, why my clients are able to do the things that they need to do. We operate very much so in a garden-based model. If you sow a seed, you'll see fruit, and people will know you by your fruit. Okay. So should you receive value in this experience, make sure that you tap the screen, because we have a goal of 10K. Okay. All right. So just because you see a pattern does not mean that seeing a pattern weakens a pattern, because that's not what that means. It just means that you're very fluent in that pattern. You're able to recognize it. You're very clear on it. Patterns don't end because you understand them. Okay. They end when the system is forced to behave differently. That's when patterns actually pick up and patterns actually end. Insight, and I want you to remember this. Somebody put insight in the comments, because insight makes you aware, but interruption makes you different. And you have to decide for yourself for 2026. Do you want 2026 to be different than it was from 2025? Do you want 2026 to be very different from how it was the last few years have been for you? You're going to have to be real honest with yourself in this experience. You're going to have to be really, really honest with yourself, because you've had insight for years. A lot of you have had insight for a very long time, and you're still stuck. You're not really going anywhere. That's because you have not interrupted the system. Okay. So let's talk about what real interruption actually looks like. Okay. Most of you already understand your pattern, so you're not confused. You're very fluent in your story. You can explain yourself perfectly, but yet you're still stuck. That's because fluency is not interruption. Just because you know something very well, because you know you're anxiously attached, is not stopping you from texting people 50 million times or snapping because you feel like someone is abandoning you. Okay? You're just fluent in the fact that you have an attachment issue, you have an issue with attachment. Okay, so let's give you an example of what that looks like when it comes down to business or when it comes down to money. The pattern can look like over preparing, over organizing, over researching, cleaning, or doing very low value admin tasks because these things are not really bringing revenue into your business. And so what you'll tell yourself is, I'm not avoiding, I'm getting ready. And then you want to put that in the name of discernment. But really it's wrapped in perfectionism, because the truth or the insight that you know about yourself is, I avoid making the ask in business, or asking, or offering or doing this because I'm afraid of failing, or I'm afraid of being seen. That's the root of it a lot of times. So you have the insight, but yet you still are over preparing, you still over organizing, you still over researching, you still over, cleaning, overthinking all of these things. Knowing does not shift the pattern. And this is something that you have to realize, okay? So insight is correct, but the pattern still continues. So nothing is actually shifting or changing. Why is that? Because the environment hasn't changed and comfort still comes before the risk. A lot of you are cool with sitting in the same space that you're sitting in because you're afraid of taking the risk, when the risk is where the reward is. You don't want to take it because it's going to shift your life and you're afraid of what's on the other side of what that actually looks like, okay? What actually interrupts this pattern is removing access to the busy work that you keep trying to do, or forcing the ask before you actually prepare, even though I know that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's about making the old behavior physically impossible. Because I'm going to tell you like this, the best way that I can explain it to you, thank you, Lovey. The best way I can explain it to you is, if you reset your phone right now, it's going back to factory settings, because that is the default programming. The reason why you keep going back to that fool who disrespects you and dishonors you is because that's your default programming, to allow people to disrespect you. Why? Because you probably grew up being disrespected. And as much as you sit around and try to act as if, oh, that's, I've dealt with that, I've gone to therapy, I've done it, which I'm going to address therapy in just 1 second. You hold tight. For those who love to, oh, therapy. Let me just give you some game. A lot of your doctors, a lot of your nurses, a lot of your nurse practitioners, a lot of your therapists, a lot of your attorneys, a lot of those people come to work with me, okay? Because there's only a certain scope that individuals can work on. And I'm going to explain that in just a second as well. But let me give you the second example in relationships, because women love to talk about men. So let's go ahead and talk about how this pattern and being aware of your pattern isn't doing anything for you because it's not interrupting. So let's say, for example, the man makes you mad, you go quiet, you pull a silent treatment, you pull back, you want space during conflict. But the insight that you know about yourself is that you shut down because you were overwhelmed as a child. You shut down because you were overwhelmed as a child. That's true, but it's still ineffective because you're not changing the pattern. Insight cannot move a frozen nervous system. Every time you shut down, you tense up, that's your nervous system freezing. Okay? What does interrupt a frozen nervous system? A physical cue. What does interrupt a frozen nervous system? A clear boundary sentence. What does interrupt a frozen nervous system? A forced shift that breaks the freeze in the moment. But you don't know how to do that, so you default back to your original programming, which is to allow yourself to continue to be disrespected, to be dishonored, and to not get your needs met in the name of being quiet. Thank you, my love, for this follow. Okay? You don't repeat patterns because you don't see them. You're very aware of who you are. You're very aware of your patterns. You repeat them because nothing interrupts them the moment that they start, because you don't have a process. So you go back to the default program. Like I said, if you turn your phone off now and you hit the reset button, it is going to go back to its original program. That is what you do. Your nervous system is the program. You ain't bigger than the program. I know a lot of y'all think that y'all, thank you, Lovey, for the follow. I know a lot of you are thinking that you are, oh, I'm so strict. I'm creating programs. You're not even strict with yourself. Like, y'all be pissing me off with that. Thank you, Lovey, for the gifts. Y'all be making me so mad with that. You're not strict with the program. Your nervous system accepts all kind of disrespect and dishonor. Play that game with somebody else. You're not running a strict program if you haven't rewired your nervous system. Stop the lies. You ain't running a strict program if you have anxious attachment style. Stop the lies. You ain't running the strict program if you're out here. I have avoidant attack. You ain't running the strict program if you have attachments issues. You're not running a strict program. So let's stop the lies. Insight equals awareness without consequence. However, interruption is awareness with a structural stop. That means we actually are going to see something different happen in your experience. Now, I'm about to get into these 5 patterns, and I want you to listen very carefully, because these are the top 5 patterns that I see that's happening with women that tend to come to work with me, where they tend to struggle. And let me tell you something, these patterns are ruining y'all lives. And I'm telling you this now on January the 4th, because I don't want you to be sitting in this same spot December the 4th. But if you choose that for your reality, that's your business. But you can't never deny that you didn't get on this app and you didn't find out about these patterns and you didn't realize the information about yourself. You did what you wanted to do. Okay? So let's get into these 5 patterns that have extremely heavy life impact if you are not disrupting them, okay? Interrupting them. Pattern number 1 is delay as safety. I find that a lot of women who claim to be believers will say things like, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God's instructions. I'm just waiting on God to give you the green light. I'm waiting all these things, and you're wrapping it in something that's not even true. This is a pattern where you are waiting, not because you're not sure, but because waiting feels safer than actually taking an action. See, this is what I be talking about when I be saying y'all be being halfway believers. You're not waiting on God. You need to really tell the truth about that. Because if you were really maneuvering in the aspects in which you were supposed to be maneuvering in, you would be using the law of assumption in your prayer. Number 1, you would be approaching the Most High with confidence, because you already know that what you're asking for is in alignment. What you're asking for is going to exalt the Most High, but is going to be for your good. Why would you not receive that? Because you simply do not ask for it. And because you don't ask for it, because you don't want see, what I've noticed is a lot of women want to be intentional in manifesting certain things, but you don't want the other 2 things that comes with being intentional, baby. When you are manifesting anything, you need an IRA. I can't stress this enough. You need an IRA. You need intentionality. You need to understand the responsibility and the accountability. Before you manifest a marriage, you need to understand intentionality, responsibility, and accountability from your space, not from the man's space, from your space. Okay? So I want you to understand that. I want you to be really, really clear on that. When you are talking about manifesting motherhood, I need you to understand that you need IRA, intentionality, responsibility, and accountability on your end. Because if that person decides to get up and walk, if that person decides they don't want to participate in this experience anymore and they started off participating in this experience, you need to know what your intentions are. You need to know what your responsibilities are. You need to know what you are accountable for in this experience, or you will continue to be a victim in your life experience. Okay? For a lot of you, delay as safety truly, truly, truly positions us in a space to where we feel, how can I say this? It's safe for you to just stay in this space. It's safe for you to just sit here. Let me talk about how when women come to work with me, this pattern of delay as safety collapses extremely quickly, okay? The pattern that you're feeling when you do that is not an emotional pattern. Let me just let you know right now. It's temporal, okay? It's a temporal pattern. So that's something that you really have to pay attention to. That's going to be extremely, extremely important. It's a temporal pattern, okay? Now, hold on. I think I'm missing something, y'all. That's not here. that I meant to put on here. 1 second. Because I put it in my notes. Or did I put it down here? No, hold on 1 second. Because I may have to go back. Because I need y'all to understand something in regard to this in therapy. And I need y'all to understand why this isn't addressed in therapy. Why pattern recognition is not addressed in therapy. Okay? And it's not because, they're doing anything wrong or they're trying to hold anything from you. They can't. They can't address that. That's why even when you go to the doctor, and I'm just be real honest with you, that's why they don't get to the root issue of things. They give you things to thank you, love, for these gifts and these likes. And remember, guys, my goal is to get to 10,000 likes. So please make sure that you are liking the video if you are receiving value. It is you block your path of abundance by not sowing, expecting that you're going to receive, and nobody is above spiritual law. So please understand that. But you do whatever you feel like you want to. I'm just letting you know. But let me add this piece in here because I wrote it in here, but I did not collect it. Hi, Lovey. And put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly, because what I want to make sure of before I continue, especially once I get into this part, that everybody can hear me. And then also let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Okay? So let me know where you're watching from. And let me know if you can hear me in the comments while I make sure this is put on my notepad or on my iPad, because it's supposed to be on there. Or did I put it in another section? Hold on, I know what I did. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 sec. All right, I found it, but I can't put it on here, so I'm just gonna have to pull it from what I wrote on here. So here are the reasons why when we're talking about pattern recognition, why therapists, or why when you go to therapy, that's not really addressed. Like, why are they not addressing pattern recognition? One of the things is, hold on 1 second, y'all. Because now my thing is cutting up. Ooh, weird. Now me having all this tech issue. They don't want me to give y'all this information. But I'm going to give it to y'all anyway. Because you need to know. And you need to know it today. Because you don't need to go another week not knowing. And I'm not even kidding around. Let me see. Ugh, I hate a glitch. Nothing gets on my nerves more. Let's see. Okay. I think I got it. All right. So let's get into, put a 1 in the comments so I can make sure that you can hear me clearly. That's first and foremost. And I'm going to let you know why therapy doesn't focus on pattern interruption, and why that's something specifically that I focus on, and why that can't be focused on when it comes down to therapy. Okay. Therapy is built for meaning, is not really built for mechanics. And so what I mean by that is traditional therapy tends to provide things like insight, narrative coherence, emotional processing, hi Lovey, and relational understanding. So those are some of the things that you may cover when it comes down to therapy. However, that is what I like to call pattern recognition, not pattern interruption. That's you being clear on what's happening in your reality, okay? If someone understands why a pattern exists, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to learn how to stop that pattern, because most of the time you don't learn how to stop that pattern in therapy. Thank you, love, so much for these gifts. The second thing that you have to understand of why therapy doesn't necessarily address pattern interruption, it's because therapy works within your story, not necessarily the sequence. And pattern interruption focuses on the sequence. So most therapeutic modalities, and I say this to you as someone who has a psych degree, I say this to you as someone who works with a bunch of therapists, I say this to you as someone who used to be a qualified mental health professional in the state of Texas. Okay. Most therapeutic modules operate, or modalities, they normally operate at the level of memory, belief, emotion, and attachment history. Okay. So they ask questions like, where did this come from? What does that mean? How does this feel? Those are some of the questions that they're going to ask you in therapy. Okay. They usually are not going to map out your time loops. They're not going to map out your access points. They're not going to map out environmental cues. They're not going to give you the 10 to 60-second psychological sequence of what's happening within yourself. And that's what happens when you come to work with me. So without a map, which is what I provide, the interruption is more like guesswork. You're trying to figure out how to stop going back to this man when you're not dealing with the issue at hand that's causing you to repeat the pattern. In order for you to break the loop, you must interrupt the pattern. Okay. So the third reason why, when it comes down to therapy, why they may or may not necessarily address, or why they may not address pattern interruption, is because of their ethics and their scope of practice. So therapy, and let me just be real, okay? Been expired like for 3 years. Oh, okay. So therapy is ethically constrained to do the following, or can't do this. They're constrained to giving you non-directive guidance, client-led pacing, how can I say, minimal behavioral enforcement. So they can't do a lot. They can't really give you advice. They can't really do that. So there's no real stopping time. There's no environmental control. There is no mechanical constraints. There's no way for you to really focus to see like what exactly is happening. So yes, you're going through the process, you're emotionally processing everything, you're processing the pattern, but you're not removing the pattern, which is why you will find people being in therapy for the same reason over and over and over again for years. You should not be, unless you've had extensive trauma, you should not be sitting in therapy for years and years and years. Okay? That is not how that works. It's not how that's supposed to be. The fourth reason why therapy tends to not necessarily focus on pattern interruption is because therapy stabilizes, interruption corrects. Now, you got to ask yourself, okay, what do you need? Because therapy helps you cope with the patterns. Interruption prevents the patterns from running at all. Both of those things are very valid, okay? They just solve two very different problems. Do you want to prevent the patterns from running, or do you want to cope with the patterns? This is what you have to ask yourself in 2026. I'm not even playing. A regulated nervous system can still repeat a loop. An interrupted nervous system cannot. Okay? So this is no shade. This is just 100% truth of what I'm telling you. Go and ask, start asking questions, and they're not going to tell you either. They just really answer some questions for me. Yeah, it's in their scope of practice. I used to want to be a therapist, so I can say this too. I have a bachelor's, I have a master's. I was getting my PhD when I told y'all I quit because I was in my ego trying to get it, and I realized I didn't need it. But what you have to understand, therapy answers questions like, why am I like this? Pattern interruption answers, how do I make this stop now? Okay, I'm gonna say it again. Therapy says, why am I like this? Okay. Pattern interruption says, how do I make this stop right now? If you want to make things stop right now, then stay tuned, because this is what we're going to really tap into. Okay. Most high functioning women already know why. Like, you know why you keep calling that man phone. You know why when he leave, you start crying and acting all up. You know that there are issues. You have anxiety around attachment. You understand this about yourself, right? So much so that you've made it your identity by saying, I have anxious attachment style. So you don't need more insight. You need a structural map, okay, that's going to stop you, okay, from continuing to put yourself in this scenario over and over and over again. You are not above the program. You're going to continue, okay? You're going to continue to go through that program until you actually break the loop, all right? So let's go ahead and get back into these patterns. We talked about the first pattern being delay as safety, where you're out here, waiting, and then you're not waiting because you're unsure, but you're waiting because waiting feels safer than actually taking action. I say this to women who say all the time, like, I want to be married, I want a husband, I want this, but you don't go nowhere and you do nothing. You go nowhere and you do nothing. Okay? Women that come to work with me get the three top results that women get when they come to work with me is, number one, they make more money. Having more money gives you better options. Having more money puts you in rooms with better quality individuals. Hello, and y'all act like y'all don't want money, but whatever. It helps you get in rooms with the types of people that you claim that you want to be around. It helps you get in communities with the type of masculine energy that you claim that you desire. But the reality of the situation is, you rather sit at home because that's safer than you actually taking action. And then you wrap it up in being introverted, or you wrap it up in being a homebody. You wrap it up when the truth of reality is you ain't really doing the work to get what it is that you say that you want. And that's okay too, but you got to start being honest with yourself about that. The reason why when women come to work with me, this pattern of waiting or safety or delay is a safety, why it collapses, because I clearly let you know that this is not an emotional experience, it's a temporal experience. And if you can change the timing, then the loop dies. The loop dies. So let's talk about how this actual delay in safety shows up in your life, in the area of money, in the area of men, in the area of food, in the area of friendships, because these are the core issues that women that come to work with me have. Like I said, I used to be 100 pounds heavier. Women that come to work with me, they got emotional eating issues. Women that come to work with me have a lot of anxiety issues. When they leave me, they no longer have these issues, or they have a better handle on these things, and these things don't have a handle on them. So let's talk about how delay of safety shows up when it comes down to money. If you're in business or you have a product or service, this looks like you waiting to raise your prices, waiting to invest, waiting to decide. And guess what? Your income plateaus because of that. Your income stalls because you're waiting to raise your prices. Oh, I'm gonna buy that course next week, or I'm gonna invest in that program next month. Girl, you need to get to work now. You need to get to work now. And you know it. Y'all be making me so mad when y'all come in this January and it's all these lies about, oh my God, new year, new me. You ain't doing nothing different. Let me just keep it real with you. If you ain't interrupting a pattern that makes you overeat and emotionally eat, if you ain't interrupting a pattern that causes you to go back to people who disrespect you and dishonor you, if you don't interrupt the pattern that messes with your self-worth, you will continue to repeat these same patterns all year round. And you will be doing exactly what you're doing now in December, which is nothing. I don't care how many habits you stack. I don't care how many planners you buy. I don't care how many cute collages you create in the name of calling it a vision board. You plan to piss out yourself if you don't interrupt none of these patterns. You are wasting your time. And this is coming from someone who is a walking pattern interrupter. Used to have polycystic ovarian syndrome. Didn't they say you could have it for? Didn't they say you had it for life? That's what they told y'all, right? You gotta have PCOS for life. You gotta have all these things for life. You don't have to have these things for life. You need to get to the root of the issue. See, when I got to the root of my hyper independence, when I got to the root of my hyper competence, when I got to the root of me in being so intelligent that I would turn around and intellectualize my emotions instead of feeling them, I was really good at explaining things so people didn't think I had a problem. When I got out of all of that, that's when my body released those cysts on my ovaries. That's when my body released that weight of 100 pounds that I had been holding, that I had been doing up and down yo-yo dieting here and there all throughout my 20s. Because my body was holding weight. Do you understand your body holds weight? Yeah. Your body holds on to things. Even when it comes down to a fibroid, it's holding on to something. You understand? These things are so important and extremely vital. Fibroids here. I'm getting enrolled as we speak. I get it. I know an amazing woman who's healed her own fibroids and helped hundreds of women heal as well. Her name is Sasha Rosa, and you probably can find her on here. I think her name is Sasha Rosa Health Coach, but she's a womb health specialist, and she can support you with the fibroids. You can go right over there. She's helped hundreds of women. Okay? So go on over there. Like I said, with money, that's slow to invest makes your income plateau. Thank you, Lovey. Now let's talk about how delay of safety shows up when it comes down to how you are with men. Because y'all know y'all like to talk about the men. That's really why y'all be here. Y'all be want to talk about them. The key thing is with a lot of women that delay is safety. This looks like you staying open instead of choosing, which causes you to repeat being in situationships. Huh? Yeah. The third thing, when it comes down to food, when it's around this delay as safety pattern, you delay meals and call it fat. Y'all be lying. Excuse me, my nose itching so bad. Y'all be lying. Calling it fasting, you delaying meals, and then you wonder why you have binge cycles. You wonder why you have binge cycles. Oh, I ain't ate all day. You're not supposed to wait until you get hungry and eat, because you're automatically going to overeat. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to eat balanced if you already have not had anything to eat. Excuse me. You're not going to eat balanced. You're going to eat crap. When they talked about us eating balanced meals, you know why we have all of these thank you, Lovey. Y'all do me a favor, if y'all finding value, to make sure to like and share the live, because I got a goal of wanting to get to 10,000. One of the things that we have to be extremely serious about is like, and I learned this too. And if you want to learn more about nutrition and different things like that, you can check out Kay, plant-based naturopath. She absolutely teaches on this extremely heavy when it comes down to your nutrition. The reason why, and I had to realize this for myself, the reason why I was not satisfied is because I would be starving myself. I kept keeping that weight on, thinking that was help. I was focused on the number on the scale instead of actually being focused on lifestyle and building muscle and things like that. And because of that, I had binge cycles where I would not be eating things, and then when I finally would eat, I would eat so-called a meal, but it would not be balanced. In order for me to not have the cravings, I need to have a protein, I need to have a carb, a healthy carb, I need to have a fat, and I need to have fiber. That is the only way that I am going to feel satiated, where I don't crave sugar, I don't crave sweets. When I tell y'all, I can pull up a picture of me in my 20s. I am 42 years old. I can show you a picture of me in my 20s. I did not look how I look right now. I was 2 times darker because my skin was so messed up because of insulin resistance. You're welcome, Lovey. I was 100 pounds heavier. Okay. I was going bald in the center of my head. Right? All of these things were happening because my hormones were so out of whack. But I would think that I would be eating. You ever eat a meal or eat some fast food or eat something and you notice that you're not filled afterwards, you still hungry after you eat that? You shouldn't be hungry after you've eaten a balanced meal. You shouldn't be seeking anything else. When you eat a balanced meal, you don't need none sweet after that. See, these are all tricks of the mind. These are all trainings, the program. Make sure you eat everything on your plate. That's why when you go to a restaurant, you don't even know how to half the food, because you eat everything on your plate is the training. See, you're not above the program, baby. Reprogramming has to happen across the board when it comes down to your life. So when it comes down to food, you delaying is safety. Oh, let me not eat it. I ate real big last night, so let me not eat this morning up until then, and then I could actually lose weight because I'm delaying the meals. No, ma'am, you're preparing yourself for a binge cycle, and you're gonna get on this scale and be 5 pounds heavy. I'm telling you what I know. Women that come to work with me, they make more money, they get healthier, and they have better relationships with the masculine. They have better relationships and community with the feminine. The women have come to work with me. The one who's lost the most weight lost 90 pounds, beloved. I've lost 100. Okay? Period. Even if you're craving it, you literally won't have space to eat it. Period. Because you're satiated. You're satisfied for real. Now, when it comes down to friendships, let's talk about how delay is safety is a pattern that's messing you up. Y'all will postpone your boundaries just for you to resent your friend later. Y'all will postpone your boundaries just to resent your friend later. And what I mean by that is you showing up to that birthday party because, while you're extremely sick, because you want to look like the good friend. You want to look like the supportive friend. You want to look like nothing can stop you, nothing can keep you from it. As you are showing up in this experience, is going to make you be resentful towards that friend when that friend decides when they get sick and they don't want to show up for you. Because see, that's what a lot of y'all do. You'll be like, well, I showed up for you and I was sick and I had this going on and I had this going on. Who told you to do that? Who told you to show up at your worst to prove that you're the best? Ooh. Who taught you to sacrifice yourself in the name of appearing like you're a good friend? You okay? Girl, how do you know me? Oh, no, I lost my earring. I was trying to catch you. Hold on. Okay, there you go. She said, how do I, girl, the most I be putting me in everybody's business, girl. And I used to be like that too. The supportive friend showing up for everything and everybody. Thank you, my love, for tapping the screen. I appreciate you. Let's get me to my goal of 10,000. And if you're on YouTube, make sure that you, when you're finding value in this experience, to like the live. Because share this information with other people. Because don't be, here's what I'm gonna tell you. Don't be self-centered. You block your blessings when you block your blessings when you don't give, and you block your blessings by being self-centered. Because you think the world revolves around you. You are only the main character in your world. Understand that. In your world. And if your world isn't even expansive, nobody cares. And it only matters to you. Okay? But in these friendships, postponing your boundaries is going to cause you to resent them. It's going to cause you to resent your friend eventually. Because they're not going to show up for you to the way they're going to sacrifice themselves for you. And they shouldn't have to. Because who taught you to self-sacrifice? Like, who told you self-sacrifice was going to get you a blessing? The scripture don't even tell you that. It was only one that was supposed to come here and be self-sacrificial. They ain't even like him. So you think you being self-sacrificial is going to get you value? You think people are going to love you because you're sacrificing yourself? You think people are going to appreciate the fact that you were so sick and you came to their party? Of course not. They would have understood if you had said, I'm extremely sick. I can't make it. And if they can't understand it, then you need to question the people that's in your reality. You need to question the people that's in your reality. But delaying and safety is costing you. To delay trains your nervous system to believe that power is dangerous. Can I be honest with y'all? Can we talk? Let's have girl talk, because we like to talk about the boys, right? So let's talk about them for a second. You know what we are attracted to when it comes down to men? We're attracted to power. You're not an energetic match for power if you are stuck in the pattern of delay and safety. Because you can't hold power because your nervous system says that power is dangerous. Power can't be trusted. This is why you repel powerful men. See, I understand that you're attracted to the illusion of power. You're attracted to what you believe you see, but you're not an energetic match for power because you can't hold your own power. And if you're not holding your own power, which means you're not in your feminine essence. So you're not ever going to attract the masculine. Because if you're in the essence of the opposite, you can only attract the feminine, which is why you attract men who ask you questions like, what do you bring to the table? Because they want some of it. They want to know what you already cooked because you presented yourself like a chef that works for free. Okay? All because you want to delay. Delay trains your nervous system that power is dangerous, and therefore you cannot handle it. Therefore, you cannot receive it. Let's get to the second pattern that a lot of my clients come to me with, that we go ahead and shape it up real quick. Urgency addiction. Okay? See, a lot of us are extremely addicted to urgency. If it feels urgent, you move. If it feels calm, you stall. Let's talk about why this collapses fast when women come to work with me. Urgency is what I like to call a chemical high. Okay? I can't speak on women who are attracted to women because I'm not attracted to women. I can only speak to feminine core and feminine nature. So I can only speak to what I know. Okay? So urgency is what I like to call a chemical high. Removing urgency starves the pattern. Okay? Let's talk about how it shows up with money, because we talk about how it shows up with money, with men, with food, and with friendship, right? So how it shows up in your money, the urgency addiction is you reacting to financial stress instead of planning. So you don't have the money to take care of the things that you're supposed to be taking care of because you react instead of actually planning. Planning makes you feel too restricted, so you don't want to be on a budget. When you don't realize that people who have resources and multiple income, they live on a budget. They live on a, when you see them out and they doing anything, they on a budget. That's the core, that's in their budget. Okay? Let's talk about what this looks like when it comes down to men. This looks like you mistaking chemistry for intimacy. This looks like when it comes down to food, that your cravings are driven by stress and not hunger. Oh, you got sad, let me go eat. Oh, we happy, let's go eat. Oh, I'm stressed out, let me go get some sweet. Okay? You're not driven by hunger, you're actually driven by stress. The urgency. Let's talk about what this looks like in friendships, the urgency addiction. It looks like overgiving in crisis bonds. Overgiving in crisis bonds. Urgency feels like aliveness until it costs you stability. I'm going to say that again. Urgency feels like aliveness until it costs you stability. Can I ask you something? What's the first thing y'all be looking for when it comes down to men? Y'all be looking to see if they got money. Because money equals what? It gives a sense of stability and security, right? But if you're stuck in a loop, a repetitive loop of urgency addiction, right? That means that you lack stability. So if you lack stability in your foundation, do you really think you're going to attract a man that is stable? You're not an energetic match for that. You're not an energetic match for that. Because soon as something happens that you think is urgent, you're going to go to that man and say this and this and that. We need to hurry up and get this. And men aren't moved by emotions. It has to make sense. See, this is why it's the masculine. I understand that it's masculine, but follow me for a second. It's masculine, right? When you think about masculine, you think about line, you think about order, you think about structure, right? You think about direction, okay? So when it comes down to spending money and how men operate, they are looking at those things. The order, the structure, you know what I'm saying? The direction is going in. They're looking at all of these things. He's not going to allow you to consistently throw him out of balance because you're reacting every time something happens and you want him to financially throw his money at that. He gonna do it for a little while when he like you. But when he realize you a burden, he gonna go get another one. I'm so for real. You are not an energetic match for stability when you lack internal stability. This is why I say I'm here to restore internal order. So that power, so that money, so that leadership, so that relationships organize naturally for the high capacity woman. Because the woman is so high capacity, so high you trying to organize it. You trying to pick people in your life that you want them to do XYZ for you because you're doing things for them. Ma'am, when you understand that you have a mindset of an investor, you're very wise about how you invest your time, your energy, your attention, and your money. You understand? But when you're a giver, you always seem to end up becoming the victim because you don't have a threshold to your giving. But if you have an investor mindset, you're very cautious and wise about where you invest your time, your energy, your attention, and your money. When you're a giver, not so much. So making that big shift and jump from being a giver to an investor just might save your life. Okay? So let's get into the third pattern that women tend to, correct when we come and we work together. And this one personally is my favorite, to be honest with you. I like them all, but this one is my favorite. It's self-abandonment at a choice point. Because I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much education you have. I don't care how much work you've done in therapy and all of this and all of that. Most women self-abandon is what I see and what I notice. You abandon yourself for validation. You abandon yourself for men. You abandon yourself for your children. You abandon yourself in the name of marriage. You abandon yourself in the name of everything. You do everything but stick around for yourself. And self-abandonment at a choice point basically looks like this. You know exactly what it is that you want. And then you override yourself. You know you want a relationship, but you settle for a situationship. You know you want to make $10,000 this week in this product with this product or this service, yet you're sitting around here talking as if you need $1,000, like desperate for $1,000. You're not even in the right energy. Why this pattern collapses really fast when women come to work with me is because this particular pattern lives in one moment. One moment. The decision. Okay? Once you get to the space of the decision, if you can interrupt that moment, and that's when identity starts to change immediately. That's when you go from the people pleaser to the woman that's standing on business and position. It's a 60-second window that you have before you abandon yourself. And so in that 60-second window, I give women a gift who come to work with me in the pattern interruption lab. I give them a gift of this 60-second tactic that support them from abandoning themselves in the moment. Because it's very easy to abandon yourself. One way many of you abandon yourselves is before you even realize if you have the capacity to complete a task for somebody, you say yes just because the person is who they are. Your mama call you and say, hey, can you do XYZ? Yeah, mom, I could do it. You're doing it just because that's your mama. You're doing it just because that's your best friend, but you're not even checking in to see if you have the capacity to carry that or to even get that done. If you're in the headspace for that, okay? These are things that you're not checking on. So let's talk about how this shows up when it comes down to money. This looks like saying yes to work that you resent just so you can get some money. This looks like when it comes down to men, staying agreeable so you can stay chosen by that man. This looks like eating past fullness when it comes down to food. That's self-abandonment at choice point. Oh, girl, you hungry? Girl, no, I just ate. But I can have a little something. Just because your friend asked you to go out and y'all are going out to eat does not mean that you have to eat. You just ate. You overriding yourself because you know you just ate. Because you're going to let somebody make you feel guilty by saying, girl, you going to let me just sit here and eat by myself? Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, honey, you right on time. Right on time being in here. When it comes down to friendships, it looks like you people pleasing instead of being honest. What I need you to understand is that every override teaches your system that you can't be trusted. Oh, now we really finna have a conversation because let's talk about it. What's the number one thing outside of money that y'all say y'all won't be wanting from men? Y'all just want to be able to what? Trust them. Ma'am, you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. At any given moment, you are willing to abandon yourself. So how is it that you are seeking trust from another individual when you don't trust yourself enough to interrupt the pattern, to stop, to be honest? To be honest, you rather people please than keep it real. This is why I say it's really important for you to have people in your life. Yeah, you have your friends, but you need to have powerful allies, because powerful allies going to tell you the truth, because they're not going to be your friends. They're going to tell you what's up because they got stuff to do. They got things going on. And if you ain't on the same type of time, they're going to drop you. But not before telling you the truth, because they're not trying to people please you. Okay? A lot of you are claiming that you want to be able to trust. I want to be able to trust somebody. Can't nobody be trusted. You don't trust yourself because you override. You override your system, and you literally teaching your nervous system that you can't be trusted with yourself. Do y'all know it's an illness that basically, and kind of like the root of that is you become a threat to your own body? It's an autoimmune illness called, I think it's called MG. I don't know the full name, and I don't want to say it wrong. I have an idea, but it's called MG, and it's basically you become a threat to your own body. Like your nervous system has become so exhausted to where you are a threat to your own body. You know why that happens? Let's talk about it, because I know somebody who got it. It's because you don't protect yourself. It's because you don't have no boundaries. It's because you abandon yourself at every choice point. Girl, you didn't get no sleep last night. What do you mean you're going to go over there and braid her hair and it take you 10 hours to braid hair? You didn't even get a wink of sleep. But because that's your home girl, you're going to go over there and you're going to braid her hair to the 10th power. And you ain't had no sleep. And see, that's what I'm saying. You know, all those nights of you not sleeping, you know what you're doing? Blocking melatonin, raising your cortisol levels. The strongest system fights against you, lupus. Yeah, honey. Yeah. All of these things have roots. We burn our own bodies out. Okay? And it's because we won't break the pattern, which is going to interrupt the loop. We won't do it. Every override teaches your system that you can't be trusted. Your body is saying, I'm not safe with you. And y'all talking about safety and protection from men? Girl, don't piss me off. Girl, don't piss me off talking about no man. You don't even protect. Girl, you're not finna attract no protector because you can't call up the protector in a man. And even if you don't see it present, it's a way to be able to call it up. I do it all the time. My clients know how to do it. Anybody who around me know how to do it because I put you on game. Okay? You can easily call up a protector in a man. I don't care who the man is. I don't even care if it's a child, if it's a boy. You understand? Little boys, if you pay attention to them and they were reared right, they'll run to the door before they let a lady touch the door. Like, yeah. Little boys and men love to be of service. It's just whether or not they love to be of service to you. To you. You understand? So you out here talking about something. You want to be trusted? I just want somebody I can trust. You need to learn how to trust yourself, because if you know how to trust yourself, guess what you'll do? Choose people in your experience that you can trust. And once you realize if somebody betrays your trust, guess what happens? You realize that that person lacks consideration. So guess what you're going to do? Get rid of them. Huh? We're not going to say the world is, oh, nobody can be trusted. No, you get rid of the suckers. You get rid of the squares out your circle, sweets. If you let somebody in and they do something, you let them go. It's real simple. You don't sit there explaining, why would you do that? Leaking your power, explaining boundaries. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you one time not to play with me. And I'm very specific. I'm going to tell you one time not to play with me. And if you decide to play with me, oh, baby, that's your last time playing with me. Do you understand? And here's the thing why I do that. Why that's so important for me to do. When I was in my 20s, like I said, if you talk to a multitude of people, you will get people who will say, Elle is absolutely amazing. She's this, she's that, she's so kind, she's this, she's so loving, she's so giving, she's this, she's that, right? You will hear other people say, I knew her when she was crazy as hell. I knew her when she would fight. I knew her when she would threaten you. I knew her because she didn't play. Right? And when people run into me and they tell me about people that have known how I acted in my 20s, I'm 42 now, I say, believe them both. Believe them both. And because I know that side of me, though I have matured, I would be an idiot and I would be naive to say that part of me is dead. It ain't. It's not. Because I know that part of me is not dead, the New Orleans girl is not, she's not out of here. I have to get you out of here. Because if I don't get you out of here, you ain't going to be able to do it to me a second time and a third time and think it's not going to be no issue and there ain't going to be no consequence. Oh, no, 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 no. I'm leaving here with something. So to prevent me, and this is pattern interruption for me, I'm giving you real life how I had to create and interrupt a pattern of my anger, because I will go from 0 to 1,000. You said what? It's whatever with me. That was, I'm sorry, what was that? And I'm not having no conversation. I'm not arguing. I'm not doing none of that. I'm laying you out. You understand? So the thing is, because I understand that about myself, there's a pattern interruption that takes place right there. There's a 60-second window where I have to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to allow this person to be in my space, which can cause me future problems, or immediately they have to go. You have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. I'm neither. You have to know yourself. Okay? So like I said, that self-abandonment at choice points is extremely important and vital. I can't keep people around me I don't keep people around me I don't trust. Period. Period. Okay? Every override teaches your system. You can't be trusted. So don't be talking about, I don't trust nobody, people, this. That's you. Pattern number 4 that women I end up supporting them with, and you can, that closes up and collapses really fast, is explanation loops. Okay? A lot of women explain things instead of act. They narrate things instead of deciding. And how we collapse that pretty fast is that explanation keeps an identity intact, but interruption dissolves it. Let me give you a perfect example of an explanation loop that y'all do that I wish you would stop today. Let's say a person comes to you and says, they call you. You're not available, right? You missed their call. So then they call you again, right? And then they finally get you on the line. And you say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I missed your call. I had this going on. I had that going on. I had this going on. And this was happening. And this was happening. And that was happening. And then yada, yada, yada. And the partridge in the pear tree. And guess what? What are you explaining all that for? You missed the call. So what? Hey, I saw that you called me early and I couldn't get to it. What's happening? Why are you explaining and going into this heavy detail about all the things that happened in between you not calling the person back? You couldn't call them back. You couldn't call them back. When someone says to you, you meant to do that to me, why are you sitting there trying to argue with their perception when you've already explained to them that that's not what you were trying to do? So if they decide that that's what they believe about you, then that's what they're going to continue to believe about you. So why do you keep explaining? Explaining makes you look weak. See, this is what they be saying. My daddy, rest my daddy. Lord rest my daddy. My daddy used to always say when I was a little girl, an empty, because I used to talk a lot in school. He used to be like, an empty wagon makes the most noise. Right? He said, the empty wagon makes the most noise. All right? He was like, well, you don't know they're talking, you make sure something in that wagon. Okay? The person who is always talking, for the most part, who always has to take up space or fill in the space when things get quiet, is normally the one that's revealed to be the most insecure. Because that person doesn't feel comfortable sitting in stillness. Thank you, my love, for these follows and these likes. Sitting in silence, because it makes them feel insecure. They're not used to sitting with themselves. Their insecurity starts to all up in the mind. Okay, thank you, my love, for these likes. Remember, we're trying to get to 10K, so y'all get these likes from me. Anytime you're stuck in an explanation loop, you're leaking out power. You're automatically giving your power to somebody else. Remember, I told y'all, I'm a nerd, so I study science. So everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. And you guys know that I study physics, right? And so in physics, one aspect of physics, specifically thermodynamics, it talks about the conservation of energy principle, if I'm not mistaken. And the conservation of energy principle basically says that there is no such thing as wasted energy. You are either transferring the energy into something else that's fueling something else and making it better, or you are transmuting that energy up into, transmuting and transforming your own life experience. Okay. So when you are consistently explaining to a man, because let's talk like that, because y'all don't be understanding when it comes down to the girls. I just got to go to the men with y'all. So when you're consistently explaining yourself to a man of why you didn't call him back and why you had all this stuff going and why you had all that, you know what you're doing? Fueling his ego. Yeah. You're fueling his ego, so now he feels like, okay, so she be checking in. She be telling me what's going on with her. I ain't even have to ask her. She just gone ahead and she just telling me what's going on. I ain't even asked all that. I must really have some kind of impression on her. So since I know I got her like that, shoot, let me just get comfortable and start doing this. I'm telling you, I got brothers. And I love men. I have great relationships with men. I ain't got no issue. Right? Because I make sure the right type of men in my space. I ain't got no issue with them. Okay? And the ones who don't, they gonna hit the door. But what I need you to understand is that you're fueling his ego according to the conservation of energy principle. And you should be conserving that energy for yourself. Actually, see, a lot of you have the game wrong. A man does something nice for you, like, oh my God, this is so nice. Nobody's ever done this for me. Here you go, explanation loop, explanation loop, explanation loop. And it's kind of like, here he go. Is he literally his bag? He plugged into you like a charge. And every time you say, oh my God, it's this and it's that, explanation loop, he like, more charge, more charge, more charge, more charge, more charge, more charge. And then he gets fully charged. And see, that's how they turn around and they get that's how the ones you didn't think were attractive get the confidence and start cheating on you with somebody else. And you be like, hold on. Now how you I did all this with you. I didn't even really want to talk to you, and I got played by you because you fueling his ego. You pumping his ego. Nobody's ever done anything like this for me before. Some of y'all act like y'all ain't never been nowhere. You know why you ain't never been nowhere? Because you don't take yourself nowhere, because you think you're too good for that. See, it's embarrassing for you to go out and spend time with yourself. You should be embarrassed to go out and spend time with somebody who really finna play with you. That's what you should be embarrassed about. That is what you should be embarrassed about. You are literally fueling his ego. Instead of you thinking, oh wow, I'm this amazing that he wants to do this for me. Because if you really listen to men, if you really listen to them, when they really like you, they turn into Chick-fil-A. And what I mean by that is this. This is how you know. When he be saying stuff like, when you thank him or you show appreciation for whatever's been given to you, and he says something like, it's my pleasure. Do you understand what's being said there? He's saying it's my pleasure to be of service to you. It is my pleasure to do these things for you. I take joy in doing this for you. You understand? Because men love to serve women. It's a man telling you right here. Men love to serve women. It's whether or not he wants to serve you. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. He does that because of who you are. And you've in turn taken that like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You're this and you're that and you're this and you're that. And like, oh my God, you're the best thing that ever happened to me in the world. And then you charge up his battery completely full. And he like, shoot, I'm all that. Then okay, cool. Do y'all remember the interview that Jermaine Dupri had when he was talking about his relationship with Janet Jackson? And Janet was talking about, they were asking her like why they stopped dealing. And she was like, because he cheated, right? And I remember him coming on and saying, and this is where women get it real confused, and I always have to explain this to them. He was getting on there saying, he was like, man, women knew that I was with her. And he was like, and it seemed like women wanted to be with me more and more because I was with her. And this is what I be talking about when I be saying the women who go after women who have men, a lot of times usually don't be wanting a man, they be wanting a woman. And what I mean by that is not a sexual type of want, but what you want is what you believe that she has, what she's able to get from this particular man, and XYZ. So if sleeping with him will get you the closest to that, that is what you will do. That's what a lot of them do. This is why I say a lot of you will sleep with other women's men, because you're trying to siphon the energy of the women by using his pipe, which is crazy work. But it's true tea though. It's true tea. That's why the first thing come out of you low self-esteem wenches is the first thing I'm gonna say is I'm a F her man. Cause you wenches got low self-esteem. And you want what you think she got. Cause you out here just explaining yourself and you're not getting ahead because you keep explaining yourself. explanation keeps your identity intact. When you keep explaining yourself to a man, like, I didn't answer because of this, or I didn't do this because of this. Please don't stop talking to me because I'm a good girl. I'm a good girl. That's really what you're doing. You're trying to preserve the image of being a good woman or a good girl to him. Performing. What did I tell y'all? I teach. The majority of what I teach is energetic and emotional sovereignty in a world that is addicted to performance, that fake stuff right there, dependence, and false freedom. Okay? Your addiction to performing for that man is not going to make him stay with you. As we know, no matter how much you perform, that does not guarantee you a spot on the team. It does not guarantee you a spot in corporate. It does not guarantee you a client. It does not guarantee you marriage. It does not guarantee you longevity for you to perform. What it guarantees is that you're going to burn out because you're not being real. You're being fake. You're being fake. You're performing. You know why so many women lose themselves? And I was having this conversation with my baby sister yesterday. We went working out and we were talking about performing in men, right? And a lot of women that get married are like, of course, girl, you're gonna have to, it's so much work, it's this and it's that. And I've been married before, so it's a lot of truth to it. And it's like, thank you, lovey, for these gifts and these likes. And it's like, okay, I gotta perform, I gotta do this, I gotta cook, I gotta clean, I gotta do this, I gotta da. And so my baby sister asked me, because she hadn't been married yet, and she said, I get what they're saying, we know you gotta perform. And I said, well, can I tell you a cheat code? And she said, yeah, of course. My sister we're 14 years apart, so my sister is 27. So I was like, are you open for this? Because I never force anything on my sister. My sister is very wise as well. And so she was like, can I, girl? And so did I, baby, before I knew better. I've been there. I have been there, okay? And so I was explaining, I said, would you like to know, like, how not to perform in a marriage? Like, you know what I'm saying? If that was something that you're really interested in. And so, hi, lovey. Happy New Year to you. And thank you. I'm glad you're here. And so I said, women don't have to perform if they really romanticize their own life and they romanticize their own routines, their own rituals, and all these things. These things would be real. See, you wouldn't feel like you got to dress up for your man, because let's just keep it real. You wouldn't feel like you need to dress up for your man if you romanticize getting yourself together every single day. Baby, I listen, it's a vibe for me to get up and get cute and be pretty. If I don't be nothing else, I'm gonna be that. It's a vibe, baby, because when I'm getting in the shower, sweetheart, that's a whole session. I'm having a time, okay? There's the music. Child, if I don't want the light on, I want a candle in the shower. Like, whatever it is, it's going to be the vibe. You understand? And I bring the vibe. See, if you understand when you deal with men, women, we bring the vibe. We the one who bring the energy. Do you understand? Men hate having to get up every single day and get out here and having to work and do all this hard stuff and do all that. But when they come home to a woman that's like smiling and happy and excited because she's romanticized her own life, I'm talking about she been at home, baby. The candles been lit. She pretty, she cute. She been cooking because this is what she want to do for herself. He gets the benefit of her romanticizing her life. That's what y'all missing. That's why y'all out here performing, because you don't know how to romanticize your own life. See, when I get out of the tub, I'm not putting lotion on, sweetheart. I'm giving myself a massage. That's why their skin always gonna be supple. Not because I just want him to feel it. See, y'all don't be knowing what to do. That's why y'all got to perform. Y'all got to come see me. Go on, come and get in the pattern recognition lab. We start on January the 8th. Come on in. So you can interrupt the pattern so you can stop being fake. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving myself a massage when I'm putting on lotion. It's the whole vibe. The music is playing. When I'm cooking, don't talk about when I'm cooking, baby, because listen, not only do I know how to make the money, okay? I know how to get a bag for myself, baby, but I can cook from scratch. So we talking about some baking bread. I got the music playing. I got my little stuff set up. I'm cute. Nothing about what I'm doing is fake. Nothing about what I'm doing is performative. What I am doing is living in a romantic experience. And he just gets the benefit from it by coming into it. And the only way he can come into it is if he's adding value to it, or if there's a foundation for me to sit on and it's going to expand. Otherwise, I don't entertain. That's why a lot of you feel like you're performing, because your life is not romantic. You're not a vibe, but you're looking for one. Girl, I know y'all not out here looking for vibes in men. Girl, I know you're out here looking no vibes from men. You are the vibe. Child, they have to get out here and work. That's why they have to get out here and work. So they looking for a vibe. They looking for a fantasy. They looking for fun. That's why they don't like a lot of women. That's why they don't like a lot of women who are out here and I need help. I'm working. Da da da. Girl, you extra stressed. You don't romanticize your own life. You looking for relief. You're not looking for a relationship, and that's why he's not interested. I dress up. I cook, but I keep attracting traumatic trauma men. It's not about you're gonna. So let me be really clear about this too. When it comes down to attraction, attraction is science, and it's one of the things that I teach. Attraction is science. There's an art to it, and there's a science to it. Most people in society are very enamored with the art of it. You have no idea what the science of it is. If you keep attracting traumatic men, you have to address what's happening in the mirror, because your relationships are a reflection of your mirror, just different angles of it. So we have to address a certain angle of the mirror. When it comes down to your relationships and men, it has in the attraction aspect, it's literally all about you. So if you are walking love to yourself, if you are self-love, you have no choice but to entertain, keyword, love that matches your own. It's not about what we attract, because light can bring roaches, light can bring a moth, light can bring a butterfly. It's not about what you attract. It's about what you entertain. What you entertain tells the truth about the programming of your nervous system. And if the nervous system has been wrecked since childhood, then guess what? It's full of trauma. So guess what? It runs only on the familiar program. And because it runs on the familiar program, thank y'all for getting me to 10K. I appreciate y'all. And thank y'all for these likes and these shares. If that is your program, to be unstable and to be in that space, that is what you will continue to call into your space. And I support women in coming out of that. Okay? I support women in coming out of that. So that's why it's not about attraction, it's science. And if you really want to know more about attraction, and specifically like, because my focus is not, of course, talking about men. How you attract men after you start working with me is more so a byproduct of what you do for yourself. Like I said, you romanticize your own life. If a man is allowed to come into your space, he gets to experience that. He gets to benefit from that. But you would be a fool. Hear me now. You would be a fool to invite someone into your experience, right? That cannot add value to that experience. You the vibe, they the value. You the vibe, they the value. But in order for you to be the vibe, you have to value yourself first. So you technically are the value and the vibe. You understand? They should be coming in adding value. If they're not coming in adding value, you're letting them siphon from your experience, which is going to be detrimental to you. It's going to be really detrimental to you in the end. Okay? So let's talk about how explanation loops real quick. How they show up in money, men, food, and all that stuff, right? So if you continue to explain yourself like, oh my God, I'm not like this, and da-da-da, I'm not that, trying to look like the good girl. And this happens a lot to girls, women who were raised in church, all their lives. They've been told, if you do this, if you do that, if do this, you'll get all these things. And because of that, they develop this good girl syndrome. And a lot of women are waking up in their 40 and their lives are cracked wide open, because they're like, what is me being a good girl gonna get? What has it got me? Nowhere. It's not gonna get you nowhere. And good is subjective. What they taught a lot of us to do as good girls is to be slaves. And there's nowhere in scripture that tells you that. There's nowhere in scripture that tells you that you're supposed to be struggling for love. All these things were traditions that were taught to keep you systematically bound and to keep you being a slave and to keep you from activating your divine feminine. And that's just the truth. Because if you look at scripture and you can go read for yourself, wisdom is referred to as a her. Hello. Wisdom is referred to as a her. That's your divine feminine. Okay? So how explanation loops show up in money is you over researching instead of executing. And with men, it looks like you explaining your needs instead of enforcing them. With money or with food, it looks like justifying your choices instead of feeling them. I'm going to buy me this meal because I deserve that. I work hard. Did you deserve a meal? Why is everything centered around food? See, let's talk about it. Get into it and pay attention. So when we're talking about friendships, the explanation loop, this is where you're over communicating to avoid conflict. I don't want you to think I was ignoring your call. I don't want you to think this. Why are you so caught up about what people think about you? And why would your friends automatically think the first thing about you to be negative if you kind of deterred a little bit? Why wouldn't the first thing be to come and ask you if you were okay instead of just assuming that you're doing something negative or you're trying to cause harm? So why do you need to explain? You know why you need to explain? Because you was walking around as a child, probably in a house where you had to walk on eggshells and you always had to explain yourself, huh? See, you're not above the program. You're still running on the childhood program because you have not interrupted the pattern in order to break the loop, which is why you keep meeting people like your mama or like your daddy or like the people that raised you. Okay, because everything comes back. Let me tell you something about time. It circles and it cycles. I did a live last Friday, talking about breaking all this stuff down. You can go and catch it on YouTube. But I need you to really grasp that if understanding was enough, you'd be free already. What's one of the things we be saying that we want with men? I just want to be with a man where I'm free enough to be myself. You don't even accept yourself. You don't even accept yourself enough to be the fullness of yourself, light and dark, because you're so worried about the perception that you're going to give off to people who don't give a damn about you. But you're so concerned about the way that they view you that you won't even free yourself, and you're begging for a relationship to free you, begging for a man to come into your experience so you can feel free. You're begging for a man to come into your life to give yourself permission to live a free life. That's insane. And it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, beloved. Never. Because you're not free, you're actually a slave. And because you're a slave to your emotions and you haven't gotten yourself free yet, guess what you're going to do? Try to make that man a slave to your emotions. You know how you're going to do it? You don't spend enough time with me. You don't do this. You don't do this. Where are you at? What is this? What is that? You don't have nothing else going on for yourself. So you're going to try to cling extremely tight to this man. And let me tell you something about masculine psychology. Let me tell you something about Let me say something about men. The masculine. They ain't finna deal with that clingy stuff. They ain't finna deal with that. They like secure women. They like women where they ain't got to worry about, I got to, I checking behind. Let me tell you something. We're grown. I'm not checking your phone. I'm not running behind you. I'm not trying to figure out what you're doing. Everything, and I do mean everything that needs to find me always finds me. All I say is you better not be a fool. But I'm not running behind you and I'm not doing all of that. Because why? I have a romantic life of my own that's very fulfilled. I have hobbies. I have things to do. Somebody texted me the other day. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm in dance class. I have three types of dance that I have on my goal list to master this year. I have 2 languages that I need to learn by the end of this year. I have hobbies. I have my business. I have this. So, and I romanticize everything. I take myself out. I do these things. I buy myself flowers. So when a man comes into my space, him adding these things to that are just sprinkles because I already have these things in place. Oh, you bought me flowers? Thank you. It's not no, oh my God, you bought me flowers. Nobody's ever bought me flowers. Girl, I bought me flowers. I just bought me flowers last week. These flowers are beautiful though. Let me put them right here. These are absolutely beautiful. Thank you. I love how you know how much I love flowers. See what I did just there? I love how you always know what I love and you keep up with what I love. Do you see what I did just there? I actually activated something in his brain when I said that. When I say I love the fact that you know how much I love flowers, it reinforces the fact that he knows I love flowers. So every time he sees a flower, he's probably going to think of me. Or every time he sees flowers, he's going to get me some, because that's what I spoke to. You speak to and compliment the competence. You appreciate the competence behind what he's doing if you want him to do more of that. I adore the way that you make sure that I'm protected in every experience, that, you know, the way from you opening the car door to you opening the door to establishment, the way you scan a room, the way you do this, the way you do that. Even if he wasn't doing that before, guess what he's going to be doing now? That. See, I don't be knowing what to do. That's because you don't know what to do with yourself. When you know what to do with yourself, you know what to do when it comes down to other people. Okay? So like I said, if understanding were enough, you'd already be free. And you cannot be demanding a relationship where you can be the freest or the freest version of yourself when you already are not free. Okay? A lot of us are asking for things of men that you have not established foundationally within yourself, and you are not an energetic match to attract that. I just told y'all, attraction is science based on energetics. Attraction is science based on energetics, Buki. And there are three things when it comes down to attraction. Erotic attraction for us, like where it's strong. Three things that come into play, okay? And it's very, very important. I'm not going to touch into that right now, but it's three things. The pattern number 5, okay, that tends to collapse when women come to work with me as well is validation before action. You check before you choose. This is one of the most disappointing things that I find and I see in women, especially women who have gone out here to do great things, made money, do this, do that, right? It's the you putting on an outfit and you having to ask somebody next to you, how does this look? Do I look okay? And I know they might sound very simple and be like, oh, well, you know, I just want to know if I look all right. My question to you is, why don't you know what looks good on you? And why don't you know if you look all right? How do you feel? You're the one that has to feel this experience. So why are we checking for someone else before we choose whether or not we want to get this dress? Let me tell you something. When you understand and are aware of yourself, here are 4 key things that if you master these 4 key things, you will never have to ask anyone else how you look, because you will know how you feel. Okay? Number 1, understand your face shape. Okay? Number 2, understand color theory. If you understand your face shape, you understand what hair works best for you. You understand what makeup works best for you. You understand what lashes work best for you. I used to be a makeup artist too in one aspect. I've lived a lot of lives. I was a makeup artist that worked at MAC, and I also was a booming bridal artist in Tennessee at one point, right? So the thing is, when you understand your face shape, when you understand color theory, when you understand your angles, okay? That's very, very important. Oh, and the last one just hit my mind. Face shape, color theory, angles, body type. Body type, angles, color theory, face shape. You will not fail. Okay? You will not fail if you understand these things. You're going to always look good. People gonna always see you and be like, dang, you always just look so good. You always look so glowing. You look this, you look that. That's because you understand those 4 key elements. You don't need validation before you choose an item, okay? But that's what a lot of women do. Let's talk about why this collapses so fast when women come to work with me and why this stops. It's because that pattern like really survives on witnesses. Like you need a witness to get approval that this is okay. How you do it is you remove the audience and it collapses. The pattern collapses. So let's talk about how this shows up when it comes down to money. This looks like you asking permission before owning your value. You think I should charge this much? What is you asking them for? Why are you asking them? It looks like when it comes down to men, needing reassurance before your standards. Well, I usually don't take calls after 9 p.m. Is that okay with you? Why are you asking if it's okay with him? On your phone? The phone where you pay the bill? Food. This looks like external rules replacing internal cues. I feel sad, so let me go get some ice cream. okay? Instead of I actually desire ice cream. Friendships. This looks like consistent consensus instead of conviction. This means you got to go around and do a vote with your friends to see if you need to do this, then make this next move. Validation delays authority. Can we have this conversation real quick? What y'all be saying y'all want men to be? Leaders? To be a leader means that you're an authority in your own life. So how are you out here begging for a leader when you're not the line leader in your own life experience? Do you think you're an energetic match for a leader? No, you're not. See, these are the games that we play. These are games that we play with ourselves. These are games we play. Validation delays authority. Let's talk about why these 5 patterns actually matter, because these 5 patterns are not personality traits, FYI. They are access points. They're access points. They're access points. Can I tell you the importance of access points and why it's so important when it comes down to, do you know, for those of you who believe in evil, for those of you who believe in demons, for those of you who believe in the dark elements that are in this world, demons, even if you go and search through scripture, they required access point. There has to be an entry. There has to be an invitation. Even when you go back to like the movie Sinners, right? Because some people like to reference that. If you notice, every single time when it was time for them to try to enter back in, they would say, just invite me in. Just invite me in. Do you understand that? And I'm going to go back to these for 1 second. Do you understand that when you delay as safety, you are allowing space for demonic energy to come into that with that delay? Because that delay reveals a lack of belief. Because procrastination is not real. You either don't believe it's going to happen or you ain't taking it real serious. Because if somebody rich gave you a contract that said, I'm going to give you $5 million if you meet me at the post office at 4:30 a.m. in Philly, even though you live in New Orleans, you're going to get that ticket to Philly for 4:30 in the morning the next morning. Just because you signed this contract. And everybody knows that if you want to get out of a contract, all you need is a good lawyer. You know that the post office is not even open at 4:30 in the morning. But because you signed that contract, you got so much belief that you're going to get $5 million when you show up at the post office at 4:30 in the morning. Don't talk to me about no procrastination. Don't piss me off. Don't talk to me about procrastination because y'all do not be keeping it real. It's not real. You lack belief. That's the root of your issue. You lack belief. So delaying in the form of safety is a doorway for demonic energy to come into that space. It's an access point. Your urgency addiction, because that chemical high that you feel, that's urgency, that allows demonic activity to come into that access point. Because when you get real urgent, guess what else you get, baby? You get desperate. Ooh, and desperation is the devil's playground. Okay? It is the playground. Because when you get desperate, your decisions get real. They get real strange, baby, when you feel like you're about to lose something. When you feel like you ain't got nothing. A desperate person will see, that their child is starving and they gonna go steal. You know what I'm saying? See, when you get in a mode of desperation, it overrides your logic. You feel like you're gonna lose this man, so you start crashing out. It overrides your logic. And when you override that logic, you allow space for that entity to come in, and now all of a sudden you get out of your body. You ever had a blackout when you was fighting? So I used to fight back in the day. You used to have a blackout when you fighting? When you out of your body, what you think is in there? When you out your body, what are you allowing access to on the inside of that, of your body? Urgency, addiction. Okay, that's a portal. You're letting them in through that door, or maybe you letting them in through the door of self-abandonment at choice point. When you override yourself, when you teach your system that you can't be trusted, so you invite something else in because you don't trust yourself. What about those explanation loops? That's one way to be able to invite it in. And then also, like I said, the validation before action. That's another way for you to write it in, to invite it in. These are access points that need to be collapsed. Okay? When you collapse these access points, guess what happens? Your money stabilizes, your appetite regulates, your relationships simplify, and your decisions quiet down. This is what it means when women come to work with me and afterwards they say, I finally feel like myself again. That's because we've interrupted the pattern and broke the loop. I free women from toxic time loops consistently so they can jump timelines into a different reality, which is why they make more money, which is why they get healthier and lose all this weight, which is why they attract better men and better friends when it comes down to women. Okay? So the Pattern Interruption Lab, okay, which is a 28-day tactical group that I put together that's starting on January 8th. Okay? The reason why it exists is so that we can shut these loops down in real time. Okay? To clarify, this is not healing. To clarify, this is not processing. To clarify, this is not story sharing. This is why I have a zero vent policy in the Pattern Interruption Lab. We're stopping the pattern. We're breaking the pattern so you don't repeat the loop. And you're doing it in January so you can start now, so you ain't got no excuses and nothing knocking you off your game for the rest of the year. Okay? So all this, you can't be locked in if you ain't broken those patterns. You may as well you're gonna be locked, but not locked into what you need to be locked into. Okay? If you recognize yourself in more than one of the patterns that I have spoken about today, then you realize that insight won't help you anymore. So let's talk about what happens before a woman comes into the Pattern Interruption Lab versus after she leaves. When she first comes into the Pattern Interruption Lab, she can notice the pattern. After she sent the text acting crazy, after she's already overgiven, after she's spent the money she don't need to spend, after she's already betrayed herself. You understand it, you can explain it, you can even trace it back to childhood of why you keep doing the same thing, but yet it still runs you. Because nothing stops it the moment that it starts. This is how you women come into the Pattern Interruption Lab. After the lab, okay, the pattern never gets the momentum to keep going because your body catches it before the story even forms. The urge will rise and then it will collapse because you have that 60-second beautiful thing that I'm going to give you that is going to change your life like this, right? You have things like the impulse appears and then it dies. Not because you resist harder. You ain't got to be like, oh my God, I'm fighting for my life not to have this. Not because you've healed more, but because your system literally cannot complete the sequence anymore. That's the difference. Okay? Here's the truth that I'm going to leave you with. And I'm going to take a few questions. You don't need more awareness. You already know what you need to be doing. You don't need more language. You don't need another breakthrough, to be honest with you. If awareness worked, your life would already look very different right now. What you need is interruption. And you need to be honest about that. At the exact moment that your system reaches for the familiar thing that you know is not healthy for you, the Pattern Interruption Lab will support you from self-sabotaging your life and your experience. The Pattern Interruption Lab is not for women who want to understand themselves better. It is for women who are done letting the same loop touch their money, touch their body, touch their relationships, and touch their future. This is not about becoming somebody new. This is about stopping what no longer gets to run you. Okay? If this felt like it was exposing you instead of offending you, then you already know why you're here. You can click the link in the bio to get access. There is a way, the program itself is $888. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. Okay. You can pay a deposit to hold your spot, but you would have to DM me specifically for that link. It is $350 to hold your spot, or you can apply for Klarna, Affirm, or Afterpay because it's $888. Okay. It is going to be a 28-day program. By the end of that program, you will be able to interrupt the patterns that are causing you to repeat the same time loops over and over again. Keep choosing the same type of man in different body. Keep choosing the type of same experience that keeps exhausting you. Keep doing the same thing when it comes down to your money, so your money can't sustain. You can get it, but you can't hold it. This is going to help you in interrupting the pattern. so you can really have the things that you want. Because here are the things that you truly want. Truthfully, if you're really honest with yourself, you desire, okay? You desire power. You desire stability, okay? You desire things like trust and freedom and authority. And you're attracted to these things when it comes down to men. But if you don't have a foundational setting for yourself in these key areas, you are going to continue to repeat the loop of attracting people in your space who use you up and spit you out. Okay? So, if you're not ready for the program, I have another option, which is the pattern, hi Lovey, the pattern recognition lens. This is a diagnostic tool that's going to support you in seeing your patterns on paper. This is you exposing yourself to yourself. Now, you can get that for $97. That is going away as of today. So if you want it, you might want to go ahead and get it because it's going into the pattern interruption lab. If you come into the pattern interruption lab, you already get it. But I'm going to just take it completely off and just keep it in the pattern interruption lab after today. Okay, so you can get it for $97. If you are a person who is struggling with in the area of attachment and love, and you know that's your biggest issue, you know that's the root issue, you know you keep choosing the same type of men, and this is no judgment, this is you just need to keep it real with yourself. You know you keep choosing the same type of men, you know you get attached too early, you know you keep playing yourself, and you know that you have story after story after story of how men have done you like this and done you like that, but you're very clear on your attachment style, you're very clear that they're narcissists, you're very clear on this. You need love in the nervous system. I'm not being funny. I'm being so serious. I have a course called Love in the Nervous System. Love in the Nervous System is a community favorite. That's what most women love. You can get it for $222 with Klarna Affirming Afterpay. Let me tell you what is in who this class is for specifically so you will know. Okay, this class is for women who attract emotionally unavailable or inconsistent men. This is for women who overgive and overinvest to feel secure. This is for women who attach too quickly and or disconnect too fast. This is for women who feel drawn to intensity instead of stability. This is for women who get anxious when someone shows real consistency. This is someone who feels drawn, who gets bored or suspicious or uncomfortable with healthy love. This is for someone, hey Eli Lovey, I'm talking about loving the nervous system, girl. This is for someone who wants a relationship that is safe, reciprocal, and grounding. And this is for someone who is ready to understand why chemistry has betrayed her, okay? So if you ever wonder why you keep ending up here, this class is going to help you with that surgical precision. Okay. Hi, Lovey. So this is what you're going to learn in Love in the Nervous System, and you can get it for $222 with Klarna Affirming Afterpay. Number one, you're going to learn why your nervous system chooses the same type of men over and over and over again, even when you don't want them. Okay. Look, that's her. That's Eli. She's one of my clients as well. She loves that class. She loves that class. I told y'all, like, Loving the Nervous System is the one that people go insane for because it literally, I'm teaching you the science of attraction, emotional safety, and feminine magnetism in that class. You're also going to learn what emotional state your body is secretly addicted to. Is it anxiety? Is it intensity? Is it chaos? Is it overfunctioning? Is it survival mode? Everyone has a primary emotional home. You're going to identify yours, okay? You're also going to learn how your attachment system reacts under emotional stress. Not textbook attachment, not textbook attachment theory, but actual emotional imprinting that has shaped how you love. You're going to figure this out so you can stop doing this to yourself, okay? You're also going to learn why stable, consistent men feel foreign or boring or suspicious to you. It's not a preference issue. It's literally a nervous system issue, okay? You're going to learn how to regulate emotional triggers in real time so that you can stop spiraling, stop misreading signals, and stop responding from fear. You're also going to learn how to regulate those emotional triggers. I just said that. You're also going to learn how to break the habit of over-efforting in love, okay? We unravel why you choose what you choose, why you prove, why you initiate, and why you emotionally lead, and how to stop doing those things. Okay. I also go into how to shift from feminine receiving. I'm sorry, how to shift into feminine receiving and emotional openness so you attract masculine presence, clarity, and pursuit. And then lastly, how to rewire your body to recognize love as safe. Okay. The entire point of this class is not mindset, it's literally somatic recalibration. We are recalibrating your nervous system to be able to receive safety. Once it recognizes safety, you will find what love truly is within self. You will radiate that love, and then you will only entertain what matches that. Okay? So you can click the link in the bio to get access to that class. It's $222. You get 2 amazing workbooks that comes with it. No, you actually get 3 amazing things that come with it. You get an intuitive dating sheet, and then you also get the intentional, like what your intentions are. This whole protocol is going to support the verse that says, guard your heart above everything else because from it flows life. Your quality of life depends on what you choose and what you allow in your heart space. You need to deal with your attachments. Click the link in the bio to get access to Love and the Nervous System. It's $222. You can get a recliner, affirm, and afterpay. The pattern recognition lens is going away today. It's going into for the lab, for those who are going to be joining me in the lab on the 8th. So click the link in the bio to get access to that. What questions do you guys have for me, if any? What questions do you guys have for me, if any? If you want to see results, then investing in one of these products or services is going to support you in that. If you get the pattern recognition lens, it's going to support you in becoming extremely clear on these things. Okay. If you come into the pattern interruption lab, you will be able to jump timelines. You will learn how to jump timelines quickly. Okay. So extremely important, extremely, extremely, extremely vital. And Love and the Nervous System deals with your attachment issues. Okay. So you got attachment issues, Love and the Nervous System. You want to understand attraction, Love and the Nervous System. You want to stop doing what you're doing, then come on in to the Pattern Interruption Lab. Okay. If you want to see your patterns and how you self-sabotaging yourself, get the pattern recognition lens. If you want to start with a whole new baseline and you want to just reprogram your nervous system because you know it ain't right, then go ahead and get Emotional Foundations. You get that for $333. You talk about men and women. What about women who date women? I don't talk about women who date women because I don't date women. I only speak on things I know. So that's why I don't speak on it. I only speak on things I know. What other questions do you guys have for me? Drop those in the comments for me. Okay. So one of the main things I want you to understand, like I said, when we talked about these 5 patterns, if you don't interrupt the pattern, you're going to repeat the loop. I don't care. And to be honest with you, it's not going to make me no difference whatever you choose to do. It's your life. But I'm here and I'm telling you, and there are things to be able to support you. You don't have to keep repeating those patterns. But if you like it, you must love it. I ain't gonna say if you like it, I love it, because I don't like dysfunction for you. I'm just keeping it real. I think it's not wise. And right now is the worst time for you to be in a dysfunctional state, because society already is against you. They already playing on your mind. They're already using all kind of psychological spell work and glamour magic and different things like that to trick you anyway, to get you to not believe in yourself. And you can keep being a slave to these systems if you want to, but it is never going to serve you. Okay. It is going to siphon your energy until you dry up. So if you think men is doing you in, society is doing you worse. So wake it up. Okay. Yes, I'm ready to see some results. I did DM my question if you get a moment. Okay. I'm gonna answer your question. If it's not a personal question, you can put it in here. But if it is a personal question, then I'll answer it once I get off here. But any other questions as well? Any other questions about anything I talked about today? But I'm just gonna tell you, if you don't break the pattern, you're gonna repeat the loop. And 2026 is going to be a very transformational year for many. And it's going to be a year that you either, this is the year you position your family for forward progression, your lineage for forward progression, or this is the year that you position your lineage for poverty. Choose well. Choose well. Because everything that you do this year depends on it. And I'm not even kidding. Because 2027 to 2029, there's a deadline that has to be hit by 2030. And if you're paying attention, and if you know, you know. But if you don't know, you need to know. Okay? I'm not seeing any questions on here, so I'm going to come off here. Make sure you click the link in the bio to get access to any of the products or services that I talked about on today. I will be going live on TikTok on Wednesdays and Thursdays. No, Wednesdays and Fridays for the month of January. I am still trying to figure out if I'm going to allow TikTok to be the main platform or if I'm going to spend more time on Substack and those other places. Like I said, the podcast drops tomorrow on Substack at 9 a.m. It's going to be a voice podcast. It's not going to be video. I do enough video. So it's going to be voice only. And we're going to be talking about the 10 specific patterns that are holding women back, that are blocking you in the areas. Because I talked about the top 5 that you can get coming to work with me, but there are even more that women come to work with me about and they end up getting support around. And the majority of them, like I said, are centered around other relationships. It's centered around things with themselves. It's centered around money. Women have the biggest issues with money, meals, and men. The top results that I get from my clients is women make more money, women get healthier, women meet better men. Even if it's not even on a romantic tip, it's good to have men in your space, because the reality of the situation is, I know as much as y'all want to sit here and be like, oh, decenter men. Decentering men is centering men. That's the slow part that a lot of people not understanding. To decenter a man is to center a man. That's what you're doing. You don't decenter men. You put yourself in the center. You realize that you are the sun in your universe. And when you are the sun in your universe, you understand the sun's responsibility. The sun lights up everything else around. Okay? So you have to understand it about yourself. So when you're really, really clear about yourself and what you desire and what you need, you don't have to worry about trying to decenter anything or decenter anyone, because you understand that you're the center of your reality. Okay? And if you're the center of your reality, then you're going to protect yourself in that way. Point blank, period, the end. Okay? So I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing day. Like I said, see you guys in the pattern recognition lab, pattern interruption lab, for those who will be joining me on the 8th. For those of you who want the pattern recognition lens, you might want to get it today, because it is going away today. There's not going to be any more. And of course, get love in the nervous system if you are in a space where you are struggling with your attachment issues, because we are not to be attached to anything of this world. Y'all be so worried about people leaving y'all. People die every day. And you need to be able to function. If you can't function, if somebody leave you, Lord forbid they pass away. You should not be that attached to anyone to where you cannot thrive or go on if they leave this earth. Because everybody gets up every single day and somebody leaving here every single day. Okay? And you need to live in that reality. And that's one of the things that we talk about too. A part of the pattern interruption lab is that I teach women how to sit in finality. When you learn how to sit in finality, you will thrive in every reality that you enter into. I don't care if it's somebody else's reality. You will thrive in that space. You will thrive in that space, because you are in a space of power. Okay? And being in consistent time loops that's draining you drains your power and keeps you out of power. Again, remember, the things that y'all are so attracted to men in regard to power, stability, trust, freedom, authority, you need to have these things foundationally in your own life. If you're not operating in power, you're not even in your feminine energy. If you're not in a space of stability, that means that you can't even hold power. That's why I don't be listening. And this is why I tell people, this is why I don't be listening to people who get on these apps talking about how they're so powerful and they're witches and they're this and they're that and they're all of these things and talking down about this. And listen, if you lack stability, you can't hold power. So I don't care what deity you worship, you serve, or whatever it is that you do, you are not a match to hold power. So therefore, whatever it is that you are doing, you just doing rituals back to back, because you're not stable enough to hold power. And because you can't hold power, it shows that you can't be trusted. And if you can't be trusted with the power, with your own power, you're not free. That means you're submitting to another power. And because you're not free, you can't make your own decisions, which means you're not an authority in your own life. If you're not an authority in your own life, nobody is going to come into your space that's a leader and deal with you. And that's just point blank, period. So if you don't have these foundational elements for yourself, it's going to be a struggle for you. Okay? You must break the pattern if you want to. You must interrupt the pattern if you want to break the loop. If you want to stop repeating these same things over and over again, you have got to do something different. You have got to interrupt, because knowing is not enough. We live in a society where we're knowledge heavy, but we're not action heavy. And that has to shift, and that has to change. So click the link in the bio if you want to come into the Pattern Interruption Lab. Like I said, it's 888, it's 28 days, it's 4 weeks. What's happening in that experience is that we're going to meet once a week. We're going to be meeting from 60 minutes to 75 minutes every single week. And this is not a time where we're venting and we're doing this and we're doing that. No, we actually get into the space. And then we also have a Telegram group. I also have a GPT for you. So if something happens at 1 in the morning and you need to come and get your mechanism together, baby, you can get up in there and get exactly what you need, because it's trained to talk like me. It's trained to operate like the way I would. It's going to give you the insight that I would. Okay? So these things are very, very important in order to interrupt. You got to interrupt the pattern if you want to break that loop and you want to time jump and timeline jump into a new reality. Okay, so thank you so much for being here on this great Sunday. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing day. Congratulations to those who have picked up the pattern recognition lens. Y'all are the few that are going to be getting it last, and congratulations to those who have gotten love in the nervous system, as well as those who are coming into the Pattern Interruption Lab. May your year yield you massive, healthy fruit because of the seeds that you are sowing right now, starting in January. How you start January is how you're gonna be in December. Now you can think you can think you bigger than the program. You can think that's not gonna happen for you, but this is just what it is. Okay. So y'all have an amazing, amazing day.